April 30th, 2019. The original Sonic movie trailer came out and nobody liked the original design at all, which made the people at Paramount delay the movie to Valentine's Day of 2020 to redesign Sonic, and the first movie came out. And then we got two more movies, which made it a trilogy, and it became a global box office hit with over $1 billion. And although the movies are pretty good, there are some people, mainly most Sonic fans, who don't like the movies because it's not how they would interpret a Sonic movie, it's not what they would have wanted, or they just don't flat out like it. But I'm not one of those people. I really like the Sonic movies myself. And today, I'm here to talk about why I really like the Sonic movies. So, let's talk about it. Also, the onesie thing, one of my friends suggested that we go see the third Sonic movie in onesies, so I got my onesie, but hers ended up getting botched. So yeah, sorry about that. If you're watching this video, guys. Now, before we start, I'm not gonna do like an in-depth review of the movies. I'm just gonna talk about the things I like and dislike about the movies. So let's start with the things I don't like. The things I don't like is how they would essentially just drag something out to pad time. And like, I'm gonna say it. The first Sonic movie, I give it a 6 out of 10 because it just feels like a different movie with Sonic in it. Mainly because it's a buddy cop movie and there's not really much to do in those types of movies. I mean, half the time they are in the car, you barely get to see them outside the car, and if you do, it's only for like one time and then they're back on the road. And if you literally just miss 80% of the movie, you will understand 100% of the movie. Like, it's not very good. And with Sonic Movie 2, it feels like they dragged it out even more because, like, yeah, they showed the wedding scene from time to time to like break the tension, but I feel like after Sonic warps there, it begins to drag out, and you're just like, okay, let's get this over with so we can get back to the actual Sonic characters in the Sonic movie. So I don't really blame anybody for hating it. But this reasoning is kind of why most people will say that the human characters don't work in the movies. But they have shown that they can do it well. But we'll get to that. Another thing that I don't really like all that much is Sonic being hyperactive. Because in the games, Sonic, first beats the character, Sonic is very chill and down to earth. But in the movies, he is very hyperactive, and that's something I kind of don't like. But I feel like it has to do with the fact that whenever a speedster character is ever portrayed, they're always seen as hyperactive, impulsive, and cocky. But that's usually how they're written in like Western media. And I think that had some sort of effect on Sonic when writing him in the movies. Because just like every other speedster, he's hyperactive, impulsive. The cockiness is a natural thing, so I'll give him a pass on that. But like, that's kind of how I feel whenever they write for this character. And that's like, I think that's the one aspect I don't like about movie Sonic's character. But to be honest, I think that's all the negative things I have to say about the movies. Because again, I don't really hate many things about the movies. I just have a certain few things that I just dislike. But I guess since I'm done with the negatives, I guess it's time to move on to the positives. Also, before we get to the positives, I want to talk about a neutral thing I have with Sonic's character. again, very neutral on this. A lot of people seem to have a problem with Sonic making pop culture references in the movies. Honestly, I don't really have that big of a problem with it, mainly because when I watched the first movie, I knew that he was like isolated for 10 years and he literally had no human interaction at all, and his only reference was comic books and movies. That's it. But the next two movies, it's a bit 50-50 for me. Now, moving on to the positives, I will say something I do like about Sonic's character is how well they made him take something serious. Like, yeah, he's a jokester. He can quip every now and then. But whenever it's time to take something serious, he takes it serious. And he adds his own little flair when taking things serious. Another thing that I like about Sonic's character is that they decided to make him his own character while building off of Game Sonic's character. Like, with each movie, they take a bit of Game Sonic's personality and give it to movie Sonic. Cause like, first movie, he's not really what Sonic is. Second movie, it's slowly getting there. Third movie, it's same thing, it's slowly getting there. But I feel like when we get to the fourth movie, we're gonna start seeing some semblance of it. But yeah, that's kind of what I like about Sonic's character in the movies, because they didn't try to be one-to-one. They try to make it their own thing so that it can grow into being what we expect. Another character I want to talk about is Dr. Eggman. Yo, when I found out Jim Carrey was going to be playing Dr. Eggman, my favorite actor of all time was going to be in my favorite video game series movie. I felt like I died and went to heaven because, dog, this is literally a dream come true for me. Like, are you kidding me? Anyway, Jim Carrey, I feel like is perfect casting for Eggman. Some people might not agree with that statement, but honestly, from all the movies I've seen, I've really enjoyed Jim Carrey as Dr. Eggman because he can play on Dr. Eggman's intelligent side. He could be goofy, with like adding his own flair with that goofiness while showing the intelligence as well. And whenever he gets to be menacing, you know damn well Jim Carrey will play that menacing side so well. Just look at the first movie and the second movie, because yo, him being menacing as Eggman is really underrated. Also, another thing I like about Eggman is that the movies made him slowly transition into looking just like Game Eggman. And most people might not appreciate that fact, but I really love that detail because in the first movie he looks nothing like him, but by the post-credit scene he has the mustache and he's bald, so that he appears that way in the second movie. And by the third movie he has the whole Eggman getup, and I love it. I love that they slowly turned him into the Eggman we know today. Also, I really love the fact that the movies clarified in the third movie and the second movie that Eggman doesn't want to destroy the world, he just wants to rule the world. And heck, maybe even the galaxy, or maybe even the universe, and maybe he'll be fine where he is. Another character I want to talk about is Tails. Tails in these movies, I'm gonna be honest, they did Tails dirty in the second movie because the focus was more on Knuckles than it was on Tails. But he did have scenes that clarified his existence in the movie, like his inventions helping him and Sonic get to the Emerald. And okay, some people might not like this scene, but I have to say one of my favorite Tails scenes in this movie is the bar scene with him and Sonic. Now hear me out. I feel like the bar scene, yeah, it's a very kids movie trope, especially with Bruno Zero Mrs. Mars playing. But I feel like they play that trope to their advantage because it plays on Sonic and Tails' relationship in the games, because like as we've seen, Tails is a timid and shy kid, and when he was being called a freak when him and Sonic were losing, he started to lose the confidence he was having, and it was Sonic that built his confidence back up when he put on the music. And we got that heartwarming scene between him and Sonic in the fireplace. And it's literally one of my favorite scenes in the movie, which is why I don't really hate it as much as other people. But I will say this, the third movie did Tails justice, because literally they gave him a lot more screen time than I expected. They made him the brains. They tried to make him the voice of the team to keep everybody in line. And I really love when they were trying to break into the gun facility, because it really showed the strength of Tails. And speaking of which, we can't talk about Sonic, Tails, and Eggman without bringing up Knuckles, because my god, this is the best interpretation we've had in Knuckles for 10 years now. Let me build the picture. Knuckles' character in the 2010s is, how do we say, shit. It was shit. In Sonic Generations, he was irrelevant, just like the entire story of that game. Sonic Lost World, he was just there. Sonic Boom, he was a dumbass. And Sonic Forces, he was a leader getting his squad killed. But in Sonic Movie 2, where he was introduced, I would say he had the best characterization. Because in Sonic Movie 2, it's established that he grew up in a warrior tribe. So he has a warrior's code and a tribe-like honor, which is why he would come off so naive and gullible, which makes sense. And throughout the film, you could see that whatever Eggman does, he doesn't agree with, which makes him look concerned, which makes his turnaround all the more good. And in the third Sonic movie, perfection. They really solidified Knuckles' character, because it shows that even though he could be goofy and a fight junkie sometimes, when things get serious, he will lay his life down to protect the ones he cares for, no matter what. And one of my favorite scenes in the Sonic movies is when Tom gets one-shotted by Shadow, and Sonic literally wants Shadow's blood on his hands and is asking Knuckles where the Master Emerald is. It looks like Sonic and Knuckles are about to fight, but that's when Knuckles calms down and becomes the level-headed one in the argument and tells him where it is, because he knows Sonic isn't in the right place. That's one of my favorite scenes, because it shows that Knuckles, even though throughout the entire movie he's been the one who wanted to fight the whole time, it shows that he has a certain level of level-headedness to make him understand what's going on. And I love that. And the last character I want to talk about is Shadow. Shadow the Aura Farmer, as I call him, because that's all he was doing throughout the entire movie. Shadow in this movie was done really well, because in his backstory, you can see why he cared so much about Maria. His character in the backstory, he had an innocence to him that was more of curiosity and wanting to know who he was. And Maria is the person who spent the most time with him and cared about him the most, because she's the only person that didn't see him as a monster. And when she was ripped away from him, as we're in the present day, you can understand the bitterness and rage in his voice and actions. And throughout the movie, and not throughout the movie, in one instance of the movie where I said he one-shot Tom, you can see that he's starting to regret what he's doing because of his rage. But he still goes through with his plan because he thought that's what Maria wanted. But after the fight with Sonic, and we will get into that fight, trust me, we start to see that he was going down the wrong path,
and that he didn't have the right mindset. And that's what I kind of like. It shows Shadow being his bitter racial self, like he was in SA2, and he sort of has a turnaround once he realizes that even though she's gone, she's still with him. And I love that about Shadow's character in this movie. And I really hope they do him justice if he appears in Sonic Movie 4 or if he gets his own spin-off movie. Now, the human characters, I've already said I had a negative side with them, but I feel like when we got to Sonic Movie 3, they had a perfect balance of the human characters because they didn't take up too much screen time, but we did see them every now and then. And I feel like that's the perfect balance for the movies going forward if they decide to keep them. But I will say, Tom and Maddie are definitely really good additions to the Sonic movie cast, as well as Agent Stone, because they play off of the characters so well, especially when you see the build up of Sonic and Tom's friendship and how they also interact with Tails and Knuckles along with Sonic. It's very heartwarming. And Agent Stone, Yowie of the year, my friend. Agent Stone really does care about Eggman, but Eggman doesn't see it because the theme surrounding these movies is friendship, and Eggman is literally the antithesis of that theme. But he doesn't realize he has someone special until the third Sonic movie where he's about to die. And I really love the message he sends to Agent Stone. Alright, now that we got that out of the way, the fights in these movies are fucking amazing. Oh my god. The second Sonic movie had Sonic vs. Knuckles, and that was a well choreographed fight. And my god, it was amazing seeing that in theaters. But I'll tell you this, Sonic Movie 3 blew it out of the water because its choreography is so damn good. Sonic Movie 3 had some of the best fights I've seen in the Sonic series. Sonic and Shadow, when they're trying to attack each other while weaving traffic, it was so good. I was thinking to myself, is this really a Sonic movie I'm watching? Shit, if that made me think, is this a Sonic movie? Super Sonic vs. Super Shadow? Dog, that was literally some Dragon Ball Z type shit. Because, yo, Sonic was literally punching Shadow across the continent. What are we doing here? Dog, I was literally melting in my seat when watching these fights because they were so amazing. And my god, when they were fighting those robots, when trying to get to the Ark, and they did the Sonic Adventure 2 pose, I died right there. I don't know if I'm still alive right now. These fights were so well choreographed, and I loved every single one of them. So that's everything positive I have to say about the movies, but what makes me really like these movies is that the people working on these movies really care about the Sonic series. And you may be saying to me, James, this stuff is done by Paramount. Why would they care about some Blue Hedgehog series? And that's the thing. Paramount publishes the Sonic movies. I'm mainly talking about the people that work on the Sonic movies. I mean, the director of the movies, Jeff Fowler, his first ever CGI animation work was on Shadow the Hedgehog in 2005. Yes, you heard me right. The Shadow the Hedgehog game, the one with the guns, that was his first CGI work. And it just goes to show you that they really do care about the Sonic series. From the script writers, from the storyboard artists, one of them you can find on YouTube, from the director himself. I mean, hell, longtime Sonic fan Tyson Hess, who created Sonic's Big Fat Adventure,
literally did the redesign for Sonic, and he's the co-producer of the second and third Sonic movie. And now he heavily works with Sega. And I'm gonna be honest, that's why I really like these films. They have fans of the series that are working on these films. And I can't really bring myself to hate it that much. Because they've made people who didn't care about Sonic care about Sonic. And I'll be honest with you guys, Sonic reputation in the 2010s was in the gutter before these movies came out. Because yeah, you had Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations, but Lost World was mediocre at best. Sonic Boom was a disaster, and Sonic Forces was just wasted potential. The moment Sonic Movie 1 and Sonic Movie 2 hit, people started to regain interest in Sonic, and Sega stick the landing with Sonic Frontiers. And that's kind of why I never really have a problem with these movies, because they show that people who care about Sonic work on these films, and they can make people care about Sonic. So yeah, those are my thoughts and why I love the Sonic movies. I hope you guys understand why I like them, and I like to know why you guys like these movies. So, with that all being said, my socials in the link in the description below. Be sure to subscribe, like, whatever the shit, and I'll see you all later. I am going to go take off this onesie because I do not have the air conditioning on, and I've had this hood on for a while now. Goodbye.